How to stop losing students. We need to understand now as martial arts school owners, retention is a huge part of the success journey. Okay, if you want in your school to become profitable, cash flowing, have a big active count of 150, 200, 250, I'm talking about active students that attend your school twice a week, every week, not just the number of students you've got on your members' records. You need to track and monitor all stats, but especially retention. So I've probably mentioned this a lot more on previous YouTube videos, and also any of my mentees watching this, you definitely know I'm going to go on a lot about retention in our weekly meetings. So retention basically is how many students you're keeping hold of. Okay, so it's best tracked every week, but definitely every month, and then obviously mapped across throughout the 12 months of the year. Now, in order for you to understand you've got a problem, you'd need to recognize that you have got a problem with retention. So you need to imagine your school as, for instance, like a bucket now, and there are several holes in your bucket where students slip through the net. So it's no good you enrolling 10 students a month, for example, and then losing 9 students a month. By the end of the year, you will have only grown by 1 student a month, 12 students by the end of the year. So it was about 8, 9 years ago I started to really track the statistics, and had found out that, and I think I put this down in a copy, I think I mentioned this in my book as well. I'll mention the book in a minute. 51% of our students did not stay past 6 months, which is horrendous churn. Definitely, there's no way you could build a strong, solid martial arts school with 51% of them leaving within 6 months. So, us obviously being karate, they were achieving yellow/orange belt and then they were gone, which coincided to when we started to do sparring. So again, you always need to look at different elements of your school, the syllabus, curriculum. I'm in no way saying make it easier, definitely not. I'm saying you need to know where the trigger points are, the points where students leave, and then work on them. Anyway, before I forget though, if this is the first time you've seen the channel, make sure you invest in a copy of this. Okay, I think it's available on Amazon, £14, £15, something like that. It's my book, How to Build a Highly Profitable Martial Arts School, and there's probably about 300, 330 pages in there of specific advice for martial arts school owners. It's not generic advice, it's things, obviously, tips, strategies, skills. There's a few templates in there, systems as well, to help you develop your martial arts school. Now, obviously, if you're serious about developing your martial arts school and not, sitting on the fence, then click on the link below. Visit the website. That's not the website, okay? That was an old one. Dervish.com. We'll get that changed, but obviously, I want to provide value to my mentees, so they're number one priority at the moment. We'll get around to that when we can. Now, going back to it though, so your retention basically is how many students you keep in hold of each month. Now, the best schools have like a 2% retention, which means that after, if they've got an active count of 100, they will have lost 2 students at the end of the month. Now, the worst schools are the ones that have like, you know, a 20% retention dropout rate where they're just constantly having to, get new students to fill the gaps of the ones that are moving. Now, we all need white belts because they're the future of your art, and future black belts, future instructors, senseis. However, we need to plug the, like I said before, the holes in our bucket. So we've got to first of all realize that there is a problem. Number two, now, so some of the such basic things that'll help you retain students longer is setting expectations at the start with the parents, but having like a 3 month, 10, 12 weeks, 90-day period of onboarding them. Okay, we used to call it the orientation process. So during the first week, they need a welcome call from the head instructor. During the first week as well, they'd need a welcome call from me, obviously the master instructor, and so on. They'd have a handwritten welcome letter. I'm not just talking generic template emails that are sent out, which they just pretty much end up in spam or they get deleted because there's no sincerity to them. I'm talking handwritten letters, nice sincere phone calls, maybe a text after lesson, you did really well today, bringing in things like, this is when your first belt is scheduled for. Now, the first belt that we used to award was the white belt on the second lesson. They didn't have the white belt thrown in with a suit. They needed to be awarded that by achieving certain things. All these small little tests, but again, it was just getting them used to that. I need to improve my behaviour and skills in order to be rewarded with a new belt. The next one then was probably about 4 weeks after that, a white belt, just a little red stripe through, showing that they knew being a karate man or being karate instructor, did they know front stance? Did they know front kick? Did they know a basic block and punch and thrust? So basic things like that, really. So again, it wasn't an intense an hour and a half, 2 hour grading. It's pretty much a 20-minute grading. The parents were allowed to watch as well. So it was just more of a parent situation where, again, we're trying to build on the rapport, because a lot of your dropout is due to obviously not having good rapport with your parents, not keeping in the loop, and so on. But building that rapport is essential to growing your school. But going back to like I said, the 3 month, 90-day orientation period, do they know when the next belts are? Do they know when the progress checks are booked in? How we having an enrollment conference, enrollment folder conference with them, or a progress folder conference with them? 4 weeks later, we're having the second progress folder conference to check that they're on track. So there's so many things that we can do during that orientation process to help the students benefit from staying with your program longer. The last thing you want to do is spend hundreds of pounds marketing to get a student in the door, feel happy that you've enrolled them, have 1 month's tuition, then they're already obviously flagging. You definitely don't want that. What are the other common mistakes really there? So instructors not knowing the students' names, instructors being super harsh with them on the second and third lesson. Now, I'm in no way saying that you're not going to have any discipline there, definitely not. But we need to realise that that discipline screw gets tightened up the higher grades they are and so on. Okay, so of course I'm not saying it turns into like a play centre, definitely not. But they learn in your process, they learn in your ways. So yes, definitely have discipline, get them to bow on and bow off the mats, get them to bow to the partner, get them to take the knee when they need to, get them to obviously acknowledge when you've said something to them, so like us sensei or something along those lines. But it's that learning process that they need to go through. When they first go into sparring, do just basic one-step drills. So it might just be literally somebody comes in with a leading arm, and then the partner or maybe an instructor or a CIT, a high grade, just does a gentle block, and then something like that. Now, this video isn't about going into the curriculum. It's more about you understanding that if you can keep hold of students for longer, it's going to massively impact your bottom line. And again, if your bottom line grows, that means that you can reinvest back into the school to obviously do whatever you want with, okay? Employ more full-time people, spend more on marketing, move to a bigger, better, more professional venue. So keeping hold of students is essential, but then you've got to think to yourself, if they leave without achieving black belt, then really you haven't done, you've done them a bit of a disservice there. Now, again, there's no way I'm perfect. I said this to my mentees. I've lost hundreds of students over the years, definitely have, probably thousands. But it was only through trial and error that I started to work things out and think, right, we need to tweak this, we need to tweak that, because you need to keep hold of them as long as possible. So if you're with us so far, again, I do offer mentoring programs to martial arts school owners. So if you are interested, the first step is I would invest in a copy on that on Amazon, how to build a highly profitable martial arts school. And the second one, get onto the website, apply for mentorship if you're serious about growth. Okay, it's about you and understanding that the return on investment for educating yourself is going to pay massive dividends with your school, and you're going to be able to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So just a little super quick recap again. Students, there needs to be that relationship between your instructor team or you, if you're one person, band with every student. You need to know every student's name, ideally every student's parent's name as well. You need to make sure it's a welcoming environment. You need to make sure, again, you've still got the discipline, but during the first 3 months, 2 months, that orientation process, that they're achieving tangible things like a new belt, a new stripe on the belt, maybe character tabs on the belt. The parents or the parent support network are taking part in a progress folder conference, ideally on the third lesson, which is the first official lesson that they're a member of your school. Then 4 weeks later, the second progress folder conference. It's seesawing in between those. Every 2 weeks, they should be having a progress check by one of your instructors. Now, I know it might all seem like a lot at the moment, especially if you're just turning up, teaching, and leaving. But again, I've got systems in place to help all my mentees concentrate on what we class like the low hanging fruit first, the things that move the needle the most first. So don't worry that some of it might think, well, how can I do this? That I'm only one person, I don't know how to do this. I didn't employ a team member until we had 150 active students, which was way too late. I was wearing that bravado of, I'm the head instructor. I'll be able to do everything, tidying the mats, doing all the admin, doing all the marketing, delivering the intro/consultations, doing the enrollment conferences, doing everything in the school. But it was way too late. In hindsight, I'd left thousands of pounds on the table because a little bit of narrow-mindedness, really, a little bit of scarcity mindset, really. So that's one thing I urge my mentees. We always need to focus on this. So just before I finish off, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Okay, it's probably about, I should have said it at the start, really, it's about 80% of the people that watch these videos do not subscribe. So as one martial artist to another, please subscribe to this channel. I'll give you 5 seconds to do it now. 2, 3, 4, 5. Hopefully you've subscribed. Thank you very much if you have. Invest in a copy of that book. Get on Amazon now. Invest in a copy of it. Okay, it should be with you tomorrow, hopefully. And if you're serious about growth, these videos will help, but you need to be in my inner circle of serious martial arts school owners who I'm working with that are achieving great things. So good luck, everybody. Keep taking steps further forward. Keep investing in this mindset and keep training and passing on your knowledge to your students. Okay, good luck.